What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of BAM GPG. And today, Bryson, we're going to be talking about the Packers wide receiver room, right? Who is Green Bay's wide receiver one? Who's leading the pack when it comes to the wide receivers? So it's kind of been an area for Green Bay that we haven't had a true bona fide wide receiver one ever since Devontae Adams' departure a few years ago. So today we're going to look through that. We're going to kind of comb through our current roster and let you know who we think is the wide receiver one in Green Bay's wide receiver room. So, Bryson, kind of want to just kind of quickly comb through some of their stats from the 2024 season real quick. We won't have anything on Matthew Golden, obviously, because he is the rookie, but we'll comb through some of the other guys. And we will start with Jayden Reed right off the bat here. So, Jayden Reed, Bryson, he finished the season with an overall grade of 70.4. He had a receiving grade of 70.1. He had 55 receptions on 75 targets, 857 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns. So that is Jayden Reed's 2024 productions. So let's bounce over here and let's pick up Romeo Doubs. So Romeo Doubs in 2024, Bryson, you want to run through his real quick?
Yeah, overall grade 70. Receiving grade 71.4. Targets 70. Receptions 46. Receiving out 601 and receiving touchdowns 4.
And 4 on the season there for Romeo Doubs. So the next guy on our list here, Bryson, is obviously going to be Christian Watson. So Christian Watson, he finished the season with an overall receiving grade of a 70 flat. He had a receiving grade of a 72.2, 51 targets, only 29 receptions, 620 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That is Christian Watson's 2024 totals. And again, we don't have anything on Matthew Golden. So, Bryson, when you look at this wide receiver room, who kind of sticks out to you as our wide receiver one?
I know we didn't cover Matthew Golden, but it's going to be Matthew Golden in the next 2 years.
So, hot take. He's got Matthew Golden. So, going into the 2025 2026 season.
Christian Watson returns, it's going to be him.
Yeah, the thing that and Christian Watson looked great last year in moments, right? But the thing that's always worried me and bothered me about Christian Watson, he gets a little bit of the dropsies, right? He doesn't have the most sure hands out of our wide receiver bunch. And that was a big concern from him coming out of college, too, was the amount of passes that he drops. So that is what, if he was able to figure out that part and we were able to more consistently rely on his hands, I may elevate him to a wide receiver one just because he is a freak athlete, right? The guy can go up, high point the ball at times. He's a threat downfield. He's got a huge body size for a wide receiver, and he's athletic, right?
Yeah.
There's been multiple times in LaFleur's game plan where we've used him in the run game because of his speed. So he's got the potential. Whether or not he figures out those drops a little bit better is a question mark. So for me, for that reason, I wouldn't put Christian Watson as our wide receiver one, especially for this upcoming season, right? He's going to be out for at least half the season for us. So we don't know what kind of production we're going to get from him when he does come back. There's obviously going to be some ramp up and rehabilitation time when he does get back. So he's not going to be 100% right off the get-go. Jayden Reed would be a guy that, possibly I would look at for that role. And he certainly looked like he was going to fulfill it. First half of the season last year, Bryson, we both watched the games.
Yeah.
Jayden Reed was spectacular, right? But the issue was, towards the end of the season, kind of disappeared a little bit. And I understand, injuries, nicks and bangs happen throughout the season. And maybe it was part of the game plan. Maybe LaFleur wasn't using him enough. I don't know what the situation was there, but he did certainly kind of disappear from our offense there, kind of towards the second half of the season. And then there's Romeo Doubs, right? He had that issue a little bit last year where he got suspended for a game for missing practice. I don't know what the full story is on that. Speculation, but he also had those concussions last year too that kind of held him out a little bit. So that's a tough one to put him there too. But For me, I love Matthew Golden. I haven't seen enough of him. I guess I haven't seen him out on an NFL field yet making plays, running routes, or see how he fits into Green Bay's scheme. But Matthew Golden is certainly, if he lives up to the hype, he certainly could fulfill that wide receiver one for us. But
Yeah.
my hot take for me is I love consistency, right? Um, he's not the flashiest route runner. He's not the guy that's going to be your deep threat downfield, but I love Romeo Doubs, right? I love Romeo Doubs' hands. Just seems like whenever you need some yards, he's kind of the guy that can pluck the ball out of the air and get it for you, right? He's been Mr. kind of reliable for us a little bit in that aspect.
And I have another hot take.
Yeah.
Dontavian Wicks.
Dontavian Wicks is another one. He's another guy that I didn't think about either. So Dontavian Wicks would certainly be in the
Next.
Again, what I worry about Dontavian Wicks is his drops as well, right? He seemed to get it a little bit together there towards the end of the season last year, but early on in the season, it was his drops. Wicks runs some of the cleanest routes you'll see. Great route runner, but it's his drops for me that kind of concerns me. If he can figure out that for an entire season.
I mean, he did at the end of the season, the last few games.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Without a doubt. He looked much better kind of towards the end of the season there. So let's go ahead and share out Wicks. Since you brought him up here, I will share out Dontavian Wicks as PFF. So last season for Dontavian Wicks, he finished with an overall grade of 65.3, a receiving grade of 63.9, 39 receptions on 74 targets. We go back to those drops, and 415 receiving yards on 5 touchdowns. Again, he seemed to get it together a little bit there towards the end of the season last year, which is promising. Hopefully, we can carry that into the 2025 season.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my hot take here, Bryce.
And I think in the next 2 years, he'll be a wide receiver 2 or 3.
I absolutely agree. If he continues to develop, he's a young wide receiver. He certainly could fill that role. But hot takes here. Bryson's got Matthew Golden as Green Bay's current wide receiver 1. I got Romeo Doubs. I love consistency. He's Mr. Consistent outside of, some of the issues we had last year and the concussions. For me, he's got the most sure hands on Green Bay. I feel most comfortable going to Romeo Doubs in big situations, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
for me, it's Romeo Doubs as...
I'm really interested in Matthew Golden's speed, though.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see how they use his skill set in the offense. And I also want to bring up Savion Williams, right? He's going to be another kind of Swiss Army knife in that Green Bay offense this season. Probably not a wide receiver 1 caliber type of player, but certainly one of those gadget players that can fill a lot of roles, whether you're using him in the run game, kind of using him almost in a Deebo Samuel type of way, right? Like the Niners used with Deebo. Certainly see Savion Williams playing a role there as well. But as you mentioned, Matthew Golden, his speed, it's phenomenal. I certainly think LaFleur will probably use that in the run game as well.
And I got another hot take, one more.
Let's hear it.
It's about a different position.
Okay.
But X-Man, before his season ends, he's going to break the record for most interceptions in a season.
You heard it here. So before the end of the 2025-2026 season,
before his career ends.
Before his career is over, he will have a season where he has the most interceptions in the NFL during a regular season. So that's Bryson's hot take on the X-Man. So
hopefully it's this season.
Yeah, well, I'd love it. Take it this season, right? We're going to need it, especially with our cornerback room not looking so strong after the Jair
I believe
Alexander.
it's like 15 or 16 maybe.
Yeah, and that was set by a rookie way back in like the 40s, I believe, right?
Wasn't it Night Train Lane, I believe?
That could have been. Could have been. That sounds like you're on to something there. I'll take your word for it. So there you go. There you have it. Our hot takes for the Packers wide receiver 1 room. Again, there's a lot of potential in that room. Any one of the wide receivers realistically could step up and be that wide receiver one for the Green Bay Packers, and that's including the rookies, right? That's throwing Matthew Golden, that's throwing Savion Williams into the mix, especially with the injury to Christian Watson. That opens the door a lot more, and we're going to have to utilize some of those younger guys a lot more this season until his return. So
Yeah.
that is our hot take on the wide receivers for entering the 2025.
And Xavier McKinney.
And Xavier McKinney, let's not forget about that. Bryson's got a prediction on the NFL single season interception record. So he's got Xavier McKinney breaking that this year, or potentially one of the years before his career is over. So there you have it, folks. Let us know what you think in the comments. Who you think is Green Bay's wide receiver one? Who you think is going to step up, or who needs to step up to take that role of wide receiver one for Green Bay's offense to really take off and flourish this year? So let us know. And as always, Bryson,
It's Go Pack Go.